Are you okay? Are you okay? I've discussed this issue with this person more than once. He's a good Christian friend, so I'm not gossiping. But I think virtually, if not actually, every single time we've had a Facebook Messenger discussion, he asked me, are you okay? And I've explained to him, that's rather irrelevant if I'm okay. Life is full of curses and blessings. Either way, as Jesus said in Matthew 6, we have to live a day at a time. So how I feel about something is rather secondary to actually dealing with it. Now some might say that's a bit harsh. Well, I don't think so, because when someone asks me, are you okay, every single time we talk, it's a trigger in my opinion. I'm not a psychology expert, but I've taken some psychology online and at Columbia Bible College. I think it's a trigger. Someone asks me, this good friend asked me, are you okay? And then I'll say such and such. If I answer it, now I refuse to answer it because I believe it's a trigger. And then this person can go on with what their issues are. But without this person asking me, are you okay? I know this person has issues. I pray with them online and offline. I think there's a point where it's just too much to keep asking, are you okay? And it's better to simply encourage each other to move on. And as I said, it's a trigger. My good friend down the road, Walter Thomas Franklin, invited me out the last night. I had talked to this other friend overseas, and he agreed with me that it was a trigger. And his son, we had to pick his son up, and his son came into the vehicle, and the first thing I said is, are you okay? Are you okay? And he laughed. He says, you sound like my mother. And it really is a psychological trigger. So I have a problem with psychological triggers. I have a problem with a pity party. I care for my friend. I pray for my friend. And as I said, I'm continuing to talk to him about this. So I'm not backstabbing or saying anything behind his back. But I think it's better to concentrate on accomplishing something every day. If Jesus says in Matthew 6, live a day at a time, then accomplish something every day. And like a lot of my Christian friends, male and female, this friend is single, and there's a lot of negatives with people in the church. I have another friend that was dating online an American, and the American just dumped him. No explanation. I said, well, that's typical. Typical of how people in the church work. Typical of how probably most American women will work. They just dump you. And I said to him that they don't want to risk what they feel is right, not actually being right as far as knowledge. There's a difference between feeling something is right and knowing something is right. So if someone rejects you and they don't want to talk about it, a lot of times it's because they don't want to be shown that what they feel is right isn't right. So it's easier just not to talk about it. I don't think it's usually when there's a rejection, I don't think the rejecter is so much trying to shield the other person. I think they're trying to protect themselves. So they come to an emotional decision and they don't want that challenged by intellect, or that their reasoning may not hold up to intellectual scrutiny. And I actually took what this other friend said, without, of course, saying who it was, that had the issue with the American young woman, and I quoted basically what I just said to this Ukrainian dating expert online, and she just loved what I said, as if it was just completely accurate. So for someone like me without a lot of romantic experience, there is something to be said, as some pastors have said, that you can learn a lot by being single. You observe, and I've observed a lot, and a lot of it's just garbage. A lot of it's bad reasoning. A lot of it is not seeking the Holy Spirit. Now back to my first friend, he's single, but what we have to do is do things at a day at a time. if something doesn't work out for good or bad reasons, emotional and knowledge, sound reasons, or just emotional reasons which are questionable. Either way, we have to move on. So I think that's a lot more beneficial than just asking, are you okay, triggering a response from the other person, and then going into your own pity party. My opinion. I'm not harshly criticizing my first friend, but I'm just saying, a lot of times when people say things, if we're psychologically, theologically, philosophically astute, we can reason that it's just not what they're saying. There's actually a trigger there. So I have an issue with triggers. I don't like triggers. I like people to think independently. Don't just use triggers. Because if I hear it enough, then I want to shut it down or I just won't reply to it.